My name is Catherine Musakali, and I am the founder and chair of the Women on Boards Network. Three things that I'll be talking about today: how you get onto a board, how you prepare a board profile, and how you should develop your leadership, because leadership is taken, it is not given.
Hello there, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Headhunter with me, Laban Cliff. As always, coming to you from Kofisi, our partners in this production. Today, as always, we are honored to welcome yet another thought leader, this time around talking about women on boards and of course just talking about board diversity. How do you ensure that happens? Well, I'm honored and glad to introduce to you none other than Madam Catherine Musakali. Before we proceed, take a look at our profile. Wow, quite a rich one, I must say. And apart from the profile, she's quite a busy one. So it's indeed a pleasure that she chose the Headhunter as her next stop after her frequent travel. Where have you been?
Thank you very much, Laban. I haven't been traveling much since Corona began, but just last week I was out of Nairobi, but within the country.
Okay.
Yes.
Welcome, Catherine Musakali.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. I think to anyone who look at your LinkedIn profile, they'll be amazed at what you've achieved and now transitioning to a very passionate space. Before you go into your business, which is of course advancing for women in boards, is just give us a bit of a background into your professional life and how you just transitioned that from work into entrepreneurship.
Okay, great. So thank you very much. First and foremost, I'm a lawyer by profession, but one who has veered off more towards corporate governance. I love corporate governance to bits. And so straight from law school, I became an in-house lawyer. So I worked for UAP Provincial, the current UAP All Mutual. And then I moved on to Shell. I was with Shell for 15 years. I then left Shell and set up my own consultancy.
This is all in legal capacity or in HR?
Legal capacity, legal capacity. So I was head of legal and company secretary. And just before I left Shell, I was the chairperson of the Institute of Certified Secretaries, which, as you know, is all about governance. And so I then transitioned into running my own consultancy, focusing on corporate governance matters. I was then requested by the CMA to assist them in drafting the Code of Corporate Governance for listed entities, and soon thereafter by the State Corporations Advisory Committee to assist them develop the Code of Corporate Governance for state corporations, the mwongozo that you know. And so my love has been governance. And my consultancy journey has been around governance, working with boards, working just to ensure that boards are adopting the best corporate governance practices. But as I was drafting the codes, one of the things that kept on tugging at my heart was that we were saying that boards should be diverse. But when I looked at the numbers in Kenya, the boards were not diverse. And whenever I asked the question, why don't you have women on boards? The answer was always, where do we find them? And even the few that we can find don't speak, are not adding value to our boards. So I said, okay, I will do something about it. And so I, together with three other friends, set up the Women on Boards Network. And the network is purely about ensuring that the boards here in Kenya and indeed in the region and across the world are more diverse than they are. Our focus, obviously, is on women, gender diversity, but we have also started the journey of ensuring that when we talk about diversity, it's not just about women. It's about the youth, it's about diversity in skills, It's about regional balance, so on and so forth. So that's what I do, and I love
And
it.
you've just jumped straight into it, clearly very passionate about that diversity in boards. Yeah. Let's look at when this wave started coming in, especially in East Africa. When did we see a surge, and when did we see a need or an appetite to having that board diversity? And you mentioned, of course, you worked with the CMA, which is a capital markets authority for international audience, looking at the listed firms and really how they're governed. To which period did we see that, and what led towards that need of having a diverse board?
So first and foremost, when we look at studies across the world, and there is one particular study that I love, which I'll share with you, that it was a study over a 12-year period. And what they did is they were looking at boards that were led by men and were predominantly men. And they were also looking at boards that were led by women and had diversity on them. And over that 12-year period, they discovered that the boards that were diverse were outperforming their peers. Why? Because there was diversity of thought. Why? Because they were connecting with their stakeholders. Why? Because the purchasing decisions, and Laban, we're not talking about where the money is coming from. The purchasing decisions are being made by the women. So I'm the one who knows how that product should look like so that it appeals to me. You see what I'm saying?
True.
So that's really why this conversation is important. It's not about the women. It's not about me, Catherine. It's about our economy. If we want to grow our economy, we must listen to the diverse voices.
What's interesting, and what you mentioned actually, picked words out of my mouth, is where do we find the women?
And you know what? It's just about opening your eyes. Let's start from your own household.
So you're looking at management or staff, maybe?
You're looking at let's start with staff. Okay, because we grow the pipeline from the ground upwards. So let's start with staff. Even in your own house, there are those girls that you have taken to school. Where do you want those girls to do if you don't want to put them in senior management? Okay, so you place them into senior management, and then they grow into the role. Okay, so where do we find the profiles of people who can actually sit on boards? Places like the Women on Boards Network, which we set up in 2014. We have a whole database of women who are capable of sitting on the boards. We have a whole database of women who are capable of serving on boards and delivering value. Not only do we put together their profiles, but we actually prepare them for those boards. Right now, we are working with a group in Malaysia called Lead Women, and we are also working with Columbia Global Centers, part of Columbia University. And we have put together a program that basically prepares women for global boards. So if we in Kenya are preparing our women to sit on global boards, surely they can sit on Kenyan boards. And look at some of the, if you look at companies like BAT, chaired by a woman. I think about 50% of the board members are women. And very many other companies, Equity Bank has women, KCB, Barclays, Absa, have women on their boards, and they are performing very, very well.
Any derivable, tangible benefits you've seen, especially for Kenyan companies, for having the women on boards? Because I know those are outliers. We still have a very male-dominated board, I would say, for a lot of Kenyan companies.
The beauty is that the narrative is changing. In 2017, I believe, when the Kenya Institute of Management did a study, they found that board positions were held by about 17%. 17% of the boards were populated by women. They did a similar study last year, jointly with KEPSA, and guess what? It was found that 26% of the boards in Kenya, board positions in Kenya, are held by women. So things are changing, things are happening.
Let's look at staff, management, who would like to cut their teeth into being in that network
Yes,
or just being at the board level?
Correct.
What do they have to do?
First and foremost, let me just say something short about what we are doing at Women on Boards to get the staff onto boards. We have what we call a junior wing of the Women on Boards network. Now, this junior wing is made up of both boys and girls, from around the age of 12 years old to right up to the point when they get their first job. What do we do for them? We coach them, we mentor them, we prepare them for leadership. Why 12? Because 12, they're still, they have great ideas about their future. We want them to know that it is possible to be a leader. And so we tell them, this is where you want to go in 10, 20 years to come. Start walking that journey.
At what age are you looking at?
12.
But 12
in
years
primary
is pretty young.
school. Yes.
That's pretty young.
But think about it. Round about age 9, you are already talking about what you want in life.
Yes.
You're gung-ho, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
We don't want to live. And studies have been shown, have shown that when children are about 9 years old, they are at their bravest.
Wow.
Yeah? When girls get into puberty, they sort of lose their confidence a little bit. So we want to ignite that confidence. We think 9 is too young, but 12 is good enough for them to understand. Yeah? So we want them to grow up knowing that they are destined for leadership. They are destined for board positions. So they grow into, we hold their hands, they grow into leadership roles. They go into university, they know they can lead. They come into the working environment, they know, hey, C-suite is where I need to be. And you know, for boards mainly recruit from C-suite.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's the reason why we start them young. Okay? Now, if you're in management and you want to get into board positions, first and foremost, take on leadership responsibilities. Okay? Take on leadership responsibilities. Develop yourself as a person, as an individual. Develop your brand. What do people know about you? What does your brand say about you? Okay? Stand out. Take on high impact roles. Network in the right places. Ask for those positions. Ask to serve on the boards. And when you get the opportunity, be the best that you can be. Leadership is not given, it is taken. And it is taken by how you develop and position yourself.
Wow. Leadership is not given, it's taken. Most of us are waiting to be called. I think that is a mistake.
We are not finding you in your house, Laban. You have to look for it.
Yes.
You have to look for somebody and say, you know what?
Yeah.
I really love that board and I want to serve on it. Then they will introduce you to the person who knows somebody on that board.
Yes.
And you'll finally get interviewed.
Wow. That's really great insights.
Thank you.
This is the lady who headhunts for women on boards and ensures that boards actually have inclusivity and they also have a diverse network. So you don't get these guests anywhere else, only on the Headhunter. So when we come back, we ask her about who else is she headhunting for her board network. Stay tuned. And welcome back to the Headhunter with me, Laban Cliff, coming to you right here at Coffee Africa. If you missed the first half of the show, don't worry, we'll try and give you some bit of highlights into what was said by none other than Catherine Musakali, who has said is a headhunter for women on boards. Well, she says leadership is not given, it's taken. So stop sitting and waiting for a chance to be given a chance to serve on a board. Go out there and
Look for it.
oh wow, great.
And build your profile.
And build the profile.
Including the men.
Yes. You mentioned also about positioning. Like you also need to position yourself network a lot more as well.
Yes.
You know, ensure that maybe you're in the right spaces onto it.
Yeah.
Now, apart from Catherine and apart from shareholders who I'm sure maybe even might not even know them, is who are these other people who maybe scout for this diversity? You know, who are they? Who looks out for people to serve in the boards? I'm saying that because, you know, the other day I was just sitting with my legal lawyer friends, and for them, you know, they piece a lot of mergers, acquisitions, and stuff like that. Then it came to me that they said, oh, this client came to me and said, oh, we're looking for this sort of person. So also the lawyers might know because,
Correct.
you know?
Correct.
Yeah.
So in fact, before I answer that question, there is something that I need to say, which is about the profile. When you're looking for a board position, you don't put forward your CV. You put forward a board profile. Because people sitting on boards don't have time to read 3, 4, 5 pages of data. They just want the profile of somebody who can serve on their board. So you need to prepare a nice board profile. So who are these looking for people to sit on boards? You're right, lawyers. In fact, the second last one that I have been dealing with was through a lawyer who was doing a merger and acquisition. So lawyers are looking for people to sit on boards. The other people to know are your company secretaries. Your company secretaries are the people who know who is dropping off from the board, which vacancy is becoming available, you know. So those are the second ones. The third group would be the other board members, you know. So network with board members. They know which opportunities are available, are getting opened up. The other one are other than the shareholders and the chairpersons, stakeholders. You know, stakeholders nowadays in corporate governance have a lot of say in terms of composition of the board.
Let's define that stakeholder, because government could be your stakeholder. Your
Correct.
Customers are your stakeholders. Yeah.
Sometimes it is the customers in the context of corporate governance and board compositions. It is mainly investors. So people who are looking to invest into your business might actually tell you, you know what? We don't like the face of your board. Yeah? For us to put in our money, we want it to look like this.
And
show us your diversity and skills metrics. So every board should actually develop that.
It's great, interesting. So I think to our viewers, and especially those who want to get hunted, it's maybe a good time to, first of all, yes, develop your LinkedIn profile, develop your CV, and then develop your board resume.
Yes, board profile.
Board profile? Board resume? So board profile.
Board profile.
What should it involve?
Okay, so your board profile, first and foremost, should speak to your leadership roles. Remember, boards lead. Boards don't manage. Boards lead, okay? So your board profile should not talk about, I manage blah, blah, blah. It should be, I provide this leadership. We should see in your board profile your strategic thinking, your capability to drive strategy and oversee the implementation of strategy. We should see any board positions that you have served on. We should also see a nice photo of you. I'm so serious because sometimes you get a lot from the photo. A nicely, professionally taken photo. Not these ones of with my phone. No. Go to a professional studio.
Maybe you can choose.
Take a nice photo and put it on your board profile. Your board profile should speak to your values as a person. And it is not the same profile that you send to every company. Because it should be short, crisp, and to the point. And so it depends on the role which people are looking for. And so you craft your board profile to look exactly like what they're looking for. And it's it's a training we go through for a whole week just to prepare your board profile.
Oh, wow. Okay, so get on to the Women on Boards. I think we'll share the link as well and make sure that people can go in. As we bring this to a close, I'm quite interested, and here I think I'm speaking for a larger audience of the youth, and we see the demographic across, especially for the people who are applying for jobs. it's also a need. As much as we had the wave of women on boards and having that diversity, there's also the element about having the youth on boards.
Yes.
And here I really want to ask that perhaps have we gotten to a threshold where now maybe the women on boards have gotten some good percentage, as rightfully you mentioned, the statistics from KEPSA, 26%. What is the space for youth on board to now have our complete, or shall I say, really greatly mixed board with the women, men, and especially the young folks as well, to just get on those ideas in this technologically, what can I say, disrupted
Yes.
era?
So let me start by telling you a little story.
Yes.
I was providing consultancy services to a client here in Kenya, and I will not say who it was. And when I asked them, what is the average age of the board of X company? They said it was 68 years. I said, oh, wonderful. What about your client base? Who are your main clients? Turned out their main clients were the youth who had just gotten their first job, had left university in the last 1 year or so. So then I asked them the question, so who tells you what products suit that class of customer who's just left campus? They're like, oh, I said, no, your board needs to be diverse, not just from a gender perspective, but also from an age perspective. We need experience on the board, no doubt. So you guys have been there, done that, you know how businesses run, you know how businesses set up, but you also need that young person whose ideas are not shaped by anything. It's just how they think themselves and how they see life and what life looks like for them in the future. So the place of the youth on the boards is now. Any board, and that's why I go back to the diversity and skills metrics. Every board needs to develop a diversity and skills matrix that talks about gender, that talks about age, that talks about region, education, industrial experience, so on and so forth. If you're serving particularly predominantly the youth, you must have the youth on your board. And the beauty about the youth is business is moving where the youth are. The way we did things is not the way things are being done. And so having a youth on the board gives you insights into that customer base that you don't even pick up from your own daughter or son, you know.
Granted. And it will even be a good opportunity as well for the board to kind of do it as a litmus test, where you can discuss at the board level, say, oh, what, Laban, what do you think about this?
Exactly. And Laban,
actually, yes.
there are boards now which are experimenting with an all-youth board.
Yes.
What do? They appoint these youth as board members without a portfolio. So this youth advise the main board. So they have their own youth board and they advise their own, the main board.
I'd really want to get your learnings, maybe even advice to the shareholders, investors, and the stakeholders who are central in the appointment of board positions. What are you learning in the areas of business? I mean, issues to do with ethics, issues to do with what we're going through right now, and of course coming in from a COVID era, what are they thinking about and stuff, and maybe some leadership insights that you can share with our audience.
Okay, so first and foremost, one of my biggest takeaways in this during this time that businesses have been disrupted is that you cannot focus on the now and hope to succeed. Any leader who is focusing on the here and now is losing it. That is the space for management. Boards should focus on the future. Boards should spend time focusing on 3, 4, 5 years ahead while the management does the here and now. So that's one. The second one is ethics is critical. Let me just say that your corporate governance agenda should be crafted around what we call the ESG now, environmental social governance.
Yes.
You should have goals on your social pillar, which talks about your staff, the environment in which you find yourself, and how they bring value into the business. You should have goals around the environment. How are we looking after our environment? How are we investing in our environment? And then you should have goals around governance.
Great insights, madam.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for being with us.
A pleasure.
For now, I think maybe it's more of a personal question. So moving in from corporate now and women on boards, what next for Catherine Musakali?
What next for Catherine Musakali is mentoring. So doing a lot of mentorship for the younger ones, for people looking to sit on boards, coaching. What next for Catherine is also farming.
Oh, great.
I love farming. I love farming.
What area of farming are you in?
So I am doing horticulture.
Great.
I am doing dairy as well. Yeah.
That's quite passionate as
Thank
well.
you.
And really
Thank
wish
you
you
very
nothing
much.
but the very best.
Thank you very much,
And
Laban.
we'll be keeping tabs and keeping track. I know, of course, there'll be lots of questions from our social media platforms. Please head over to Catherine Musakali's LinkedIn page, and I'm sure there'll be great interaction and, of course, a lot more on the Headhunter social media pages. Hope to see you again next time.
Thank you very much. The pleasure has been mine.
I appreciate it.
Asante sana.
Well, that has been none other than Catherine Musakali talking to us about the whole conversation about women on board, and just looking at how to have a diverse and an inclusive board. Of course, this is just but a tidbit to a lot more to come. We hope to have, again, to a lot more discussions in these HR circles. As always, trying to make sure that you get on to the Headhunters list. My name is Laban Cliff, coming to you from Coffee Africa. See you again next time, same place. Goodbye.
Bye.